morning once again. We have an interesting topic of discussion, and those of you in the audience, if you have not seen the latest current issue of the Indian Transport and Logistic News, I think you should pick it up. You're talking about the Bharat factor in the Indian automotive industry, and I think that's exactly is the topic of our discussion. In my introduction, in my welcome note, I mentioned about the importance of access to materials that are required for the automotive industry that is becoming very critical in the global trade and the international diplomacy. If you look at in the last few years, the challenges have been far too many, the disruptions have been far too many. I think as the automotive industry, today we are talking about automotive industry and the logistics service providers, I think we have been quite agile and creative in terms of how we responded to these crises. Whether it is during the pandemic, I think automotive industry had really been challenged in terms of access to materials, access to their vendors, suppliers, and all of a sudden, the other industry was the pharmaceutical industry. All of a sudden, we realized that, okay, there are too many big gaps. Probably it is time that we got to have much more of control on our global supply chains. Even much before the COVID, there has been something called trade tariffs. Even in the Trump 1.0, I think we had tariff already kicked in, and I think people realized that we need to have what today is well known as the China plus 1 or China plus 2 or China plus 11 or China plus X, depending upon how you look at it. Basically, diversifying your production and manufacturing and de-risking your global supply chains. And it is important to that extent whether we have access or automotive industry have access to suppliers all around the world. We are not highly reliant on one supplier, one country, one region. And as a result, supply chain needs to be creative, needs to be resilient, needs to be agile. And all of us are on the except me, on the stage are people who are being creative in terms of addressing the disruptions that we find on every day. Trade tariff is a mystery even today. I think everyone, all of us, wake up in the morning to see what happened in the previous night, because the time difference between the US is almost like 12 hours, 10 hours. So what happens in the last night, you need to actually be clued into what is happening in the news space. Perhaps we are in the best place today in terms of when you look at the global or Indian automotive industry. And as I look at it, as I've been like reading and talking to different people, I think it is moving from a best cost country to best sourcing country. So we are looking at where can we source, and I think India has its own advantages. It's not just that's a cheap labor that is available, but it is strategically important for global automotive companies and for Indian automotive companies to really create that global supply chain, value chain within India. And not only for the domestic production and consumption, it is also for the export. I think with that in context, I would like to open up the discussion. We have different sets of questions to each one of them, but free to come in at any time if you want to add a comment or raise a question. And probably at the end of the conversation, I will also open up to the audience to ask a few questions. Like to keep it as interactive and lively as possible, but there will be some specific question that speakers on stage, they have a distinguished career in the automotive industry, and they will share their insights and probably some follow-up questions during the course of the next 1 hour. We have 3 automotive companies on stage, Girish, Sahil, and Ponraj. So they will bring the automotive OEM side aspects in terms of what does it mean to be a procurement manager, global supply chain head, a logistic manager in an automotive company, and Shyam will come from CMA CGM, a group that has a multimodal approach in terms of providing solution for global automotive companies, and he will bring bring the logistics side, supply chain, solution side perspectives. Let me start off with Girish. Girish with Volvo Group, almost 20 years, with multiple roles. Perhaps let's start with the localization versus globalization, and how does Volvo Group India balance that, the push for local sourcing with the need to maintain global supply chain standards and efficiencies? Girish.
Okay, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting me into this panel. And it's really an honor to bring Volvo Group's perspectives on sourcing strategies, particularly when it comes to localization and competitiveness. Now, see, our approach, Volvo Group's approach, has been to bring global products with a local adaptation. And our processes has been completely embedded into the global systems and processes. So what we have been doing over time is to really assess the capability and capacity of Indian manufacturers. What that gives us is to really make sure that we bring in the supplier development aspects into picture. So capability development is one of the key aspects what we really follow. And then, over next few years, we have made a very clear localization strategy. We know exactly what kind of technology we should bring in here, because for us, as I said, the specification remains to be global. We don't intend to change that for a specific market. So here, we will engage with many global partners with manufacturing footprint in India. But as well, we will also engage with a lot of leading domestic players in different technologies, right? So here, we have also used, to the best of our effects and to the suppliers, the initiatives coming from the government, whether it is production-linked incentive schemes, larger Make in India, ambitions from the government, which is actually bringing the supplier capability in the value chain up. And that helps the suppliers, the manufacturers, but also us to really make sure that they deliver the best of the best technology components in India domestically, but also which can be exported back to our global systems.
Thanks, Girish. Sahil, you come with, again, almost close to 2 decades of experience working in multiple roles in Delphi, Bendix, Whirlpool, and now Knorr. You worked in both in India and the US, so you bring in a lot of perspectives from outside the country as well. And as head of global sourcing for India and Southeast Asia at Knorr Commercial Vehicle Division, you lead a team to ensure that the vision for India for local and India for global. So again, the question is on the balancing local and global sourcing. How do you see the role of local suppliers evolving as Indian and Southeast Asian companies integrate more deeply into global supply chains at your company, Knorr?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us today, and I think this is part of an interesting conversation, obviously, with my distinguished colleagues here. And global sourcing is in sometimes a misnomer, right? Like we talk about sourcing locally, we talk about sourcing globally, but at the end of the day, it's about making the right decision. So on a Knorr perspective, what we look at is finding the right partner. And I know it's a simple statement here, but there's a complexity involved in that. A lot of times in our industry, cost is the enabler, cost is the entry ticket, right? A lot of the conversations are driven from there. So, but what we do after that is what it matters. And from a perspective of Knorr, what we do is to really bring this all down into our sourcing and decision process. So when we are making a sourcing development, especially in India, we're trying to build a local supply base. We're not only looking at the cost advantage, but we are also looking at the capability that they bring in and what the gap is. So when we make a decision, we're looking at, hey, we understand the risk with these items here. Maybe they might have a little bit of a developmental challenge. In which case, are we making the right decision? Do we have the right backups, the right risk mitigation at the right point? And one of the key enablers for us is using our supplier development process. So with our local supply base, not just in India, but also in Southeast Asia as they're developing, we are interacting with them on a much more frequent basis. Our resources are focused on developing them up within their capability, but also having that close look. It's that trust but verify aspect of it, where we are very closely engaged with them in the development process and driving a lot of the value and that we would see with an existing global partner. We're trying to develop that at the local suppliers as well.
Thanks, Sahil. Ponraj, you head of materials management at ZF Commercial Vehicles, and it develops and supplies advanced technologies and systems like transmission systems, braking and steering, advanced driver assistance systems, electric driveline and digitalization, fleet management across in management tools in India, based in Chennai. Again, the question is again on the localization versus globalization and global standards. How is ZF balancing the need for local supplier integration in India with the requirement to meet global quality, safety, and compliance standards across commercial vehicles supply chain?
Good morning, all. Thanks for giving this opportunity to Auto SCM. Actually, we in ZF, we integrate capable suppliers through the ZF Global Approved Supplier Panel through various supplier integration processes, like we evaluate them in terms of quality, financial health, and sustainability. And we have a logistic evaluation process like GMMO, G-audit. So these are all the processes we are using to integrate capable potential suppliers to our approved supplier panel. And we strongly believe in sharing is building. We promote Indian suppliers to the global team, and we engage them early along with our R&D team for the product development. And we are also creating India as an innovation hub for the global, for our products. And we also actively engage the Indian suppliers for our global deck days. They are also participating, and they are also understanding the product and our demand requirements. And supported by seeing is believing. Okay. So we have to build a trust. So we have to show India to the global team, so they win the trust. What is their capability? Everything we are explained to them. And then we focus on the specific key projects, so that the focus will be there, and that we are maintaining it. And then we are also connecting together. So we organize for the supplier meet, everything, so that they have a face-to-face interaction. So this is how we build the strong relationship with the suppliers. And then from there, we start to develop the new projects. And we have a corporate supplier management team. So they are also hand-holding and bring the projects. So once we are engaging with the suppliers along with the R&D, so we are ensuring that they meet the global specifications. It is one specification as a ZF. So that is what we are doing.
Winning the trust, that actually is very key. Shyam, India is increasingly being recognized as a strategic hub in global supply chains. From a CMA CGM perspective, how do you see India's role evolving in the automotive sector, and what you think are the unique strengths that set it apart from the emerging markets? CMA CGM is a big conglomerate in terms of a logistics service company which offers multi-modal solutions. From that perspective, how do you look at this?
First of all, good morning to all. Thanks for this organizers to have us in the panel discussion with the esteemed speakers. Before answering the question, I just would like to give up on what is exactly the CMA CGM. CMA CGM is a French company, started in the year 1978. It has a family roots, very long-term vision, as well as corporate purpose. We imagine better ways to serve world in motion. So that's the tagline what we have. And today we are present in 177 countries. We operate from 177 countries with over 160,000 employees, and of which 6,000 employees are from the headquarters in Marseille. So the group is led by Mr. Rodolphe Sade, he's the group chairman, and we have we cover close to 420 ports across the world, and also we have more than 650 vessels across fleets to manage this, and we have transported in the year 2024 close to 23 million TEUs. We take it as CMA CGM India. CMA CGM India, we are with 19 weekly services to the global markets, which is close to 35 locations we cover in that, and apart from that, we cover the inland locations by the multimodal transport. So to answer your question, John, it's for the CMA CGM perspective, India is evolving from a regional supplier to a global manufacturing hub and export of automotive products. So what we see is the moving of the value chain with enhanced logistics efficiency and integrated supply chain. So there are certain aspects what we feel is quite important in this is the talent pool the India has because we produce a proficient engineers, quite a big amount who will be in a position to solve complex auto manufacturing products, as well as today they are in a position to solve even the logistics operations. The other advantage is everyone talk about, you also talked about the China Plus One and the China Plus X. Definitely the major global manufacturing companies are shifting their productions basically to India, basically considering the risk China has with a few countries. And this is giving us the opportunity for the India, a good investment for India as well for the automotive companies. The third one is the increasing domestic demand. Today, the lot of young people are in an affordable position to buy vehicles, and this is actually increasing the local demand. So the local demand as well as there is a scalability. So it's a continuous growth of local demand. This is what we feel. And on top of it, as Mr. Girish also mentioned, that the government is providing product-linked incentives, as well as the states are developing good infrastructure, and also the Make in India, the tag by the government, as well as the customs, as well as the government authorities are trying to enhance the ease of doing business is also one of the aspects what we feel. So all this makes India a automobile hub, a strategic hub for the automobile exports. And as CMA CGM, we also feel we'll be in a position to do an efficient logistic solutions for the OEMs.
Okay, before I come to the next set of questions to the OEMs, the supplier development and partnership, probably a question to all of you whoever wants to answer in terms of nearshoring, regionalization. I think one of you actually mentioned about, has that really happened when automotive companies looking at producing close to where the demand is at? Does that really happen? Because sometimes you may not have the kind of talent pool to produce something like that. Perhaps US would like to have a lot of chips to be made, but it just doesn't have the talent pool to do something like that, and probably it is not just convenient for them to set up factories in close to in Mexico so that they can truck it into US. So how do you look at nearshoring and regionalization when it comes to developing your supply, the vendor base, supplier base? Is that really becoming important for you? And if you have to decide, what is that thing that actually makes that decision?
Of course, as you said, there are some technologies where capex, the investment and the payback is very, very long. That takes time to establish the supply chain ecosystem near shore. But by and large, all that whatever has happened during last probably 7, 8 years, 10 years time has only pushed us to go more regional than global. We are no more really talking about globalization. Instead, we are going more produce where it should be consumed. That kind of a situation. But there are some exceptions. Batteries, for example, semiconductors, for example. We still rely on specific areas where they are getting manufactured right now, just because of the scale and the investment which is needed.
Anybody wants? Sahil?
Yeah, maybe to add to it, I think it's all about the right product or the right part, because it's not about nearshoring everything. It's about where it's appropriate to do that, make that decision. Where it's not, what are your risk mitigation strategies? And this is where, like we discussed, China plus one can mean Vietnam, can mean India, can mean Mexico, can even possibly mean Eastern Europe. So it's about making that right decision based on the product or part portfolio you have, and then weighing the risks. What would be
Ponraj?
Yeah. So Jetav, we are in automotive, we are in industrial. In automotive, if you are looking at regionalization, that is localization, we are at 80% level. Okay. Whereas on the industrial, still we are at 32% level. So as rightly pointed out by Girish, it is based on the investment on the capex and what is the payback, we are getting it from that. So, and moreover to that, the availability of the potential suppliers in the regions. So that is playing a key role here. Whereas on the industrials, because of a heavier size of products and all, we don't have a much flexibility in the supply chain in India. So it has to be based on the case-to-case basis. But going forward, we have a clear target of going for 85% localization, not immediately, at least in 3 to 5 years period of time.
Okay, Shyam, let me come to you, because I probably, as a logistic company, you have an early signal that probably you would gather, because you work with the multiple automotive companies. As a result, do you see the patterns changing in terms of your network? You're changing of your vessel routing, probably the network of your CMA CGM air cargo routing. Do you see that pattern changing? There is a kind of much more frequent changing of your network.
So due to geopolitical uncertainties, definitely there are change in routings which we foresee or which we don't foresee, which we come across. And today CMA CGM is in a position to divert the routings accordingly to avoid the regional disruptions which the customer face both in and out. So for this, what we do is that the tower in HO does the roadmap to see how it can be done, like what we did for the Red Sea. We changed to Cape of Good Hope, but unfortunately that increases in the transit. But at least there was a continuity of service being given to the customers, both at the POL as well as at the POD side. Also, what we try to do is that we try to invest upon on the vessels, on the assets, so that the continuity maintains, because once you increase the transit, then naturally the number of vessels also needs to be accordingly increased. So strategically we have invested. So hopefully you would have come across where we have ordered 6 LNG dual fuel vessels with the Cochin shipyard very recently, and also We also provide air cargo solutions, which is also a division or a product which has come across in the last few years, and we have invested in the aircrafts. We have right now 6, and we'll be coming close to 9 by 2026-27. So this solution has also been given to the customers to see to that their products are reaching on time. And on the infrastructure side, we also try to invest in terminals, and the reason one is the MOU which we have signed with the JNPA for the Jawaharlal Port Authority for an investment in the upcoming Vadhavan deep draft project in Maharashtra. So this will somehow try to ease out the congestion as well as the possible the delays what the existing gateway ports are currently experiencing. And we also do a lot of intermodal connections in the form of converting mainly to the road to the rail activity so that the customers are not having enough disruptions, as well as a much greener solution being given to the customers.
Yeah, one thing is about the rerouting and the organization of your network because of geopolitical constraints that come across probably every day. The other one is based on you move your capacity where there is a demand in terms of new production centers. Perhaps some of you would remember, like I think about a year back, the Lenovo moved overnight production of their laptops from China to Vietnam. There's been a significant movement of air freight capacity into Vietnam all of a sudden. So I think there is this underlying thing that is actually happening because there is a reason as to why there is a nearshoring or that happens, but probably the logistic companies would get a sense of where the capacity is needed. On to the supplier development and partnership question. I think Sahil briefly mentioned in your first question. Question is to Girish on what strategies are being used to strengthen relationships with Indian suppliers so they meet global quality, sustainability, and compliance expectations.
We see suppliers as our partners, right? So then what do we do? Some of the things, some of the initiatives, what we do, we almost everyone talked about joint development activities when it comes to new technologies, when it is on process excellence. We really bring our own competence, both from a local competence, but also bring our experts globally to make sure that we support the Indian manufacturers, Indian supply ecosystem to get developed. Because I truly believe that if there are, let's say, thousands and maybe millions of MSME companies in India, if you really look at our components and go to tier N level, these MSMEs also play a major role to really bring the whole supply ecosystem up. The responsibility is truly from OEMs to tier ones. These are big companies which have to drive these initiatives across the supply chain, and that we generally do. And one of the aspects which our supply partners really appreciate is the true sense in which Volvo goes in hands-on to develop supply ecosystem. Not just that, we get into long-term agreements with suppliers. This gives them a bit of a freedom to decide on the investments to even build their capability levels up. We don't really engage suppliers for any short-term purpose. We really look at suppliers in joint innovations, whether it is on electrification, whether it is on fossil-free solutions, or even, let's say, lightweighting, which are really the need of mobility sector right now. Then you also probably have a lot of suppliers sitting here. There is something called as Volvo Group Supplier Code of Conduct, which comprehensively defines what it needs, what are the expectations from Volvo towards the suppliers. With a thorough understanding of this, each supplier really, accept and sign these documents. And sustainability has been one key cornerstones for us, especially with Indian suppliers. I can talk about it a little later, but then we have been working with Indian suppliers for about 4.5 years time on all scope 1, 2, and 3. But what I definitely want to drive here is purchasing. We all represent purchasing. I definitely see purchasing has really become a powerhouse in driving this transformation in the industry. And to really make sure that suppliers get to know what OEs think and do, we have created something called as Purchasing by Volvo Group. We kind of let out how we do things within Volvo Group purchasing to suppliers. Suppliers who want to learn more, who doesn't have the capability to invest on those new set of tools and things like that, we let them to take it almost free of cost. This is more of an education to the suppliers. I just want to sum it up on this topic, Reji, on what our CEO Martin Lundstedt always used to say, that partnership is the new leadership. But quite recently, he has beautifully changed this to friendship is the new partnership. Friendship to bring new innovative solutions between us as a company and our suppliers. Friendship to bring higher value to our customers, and friendship to make sure our end customers succeed. That's what we do.
Thanks, Girish. Sahil, again, on supply development and collaboration, what initiatives are most effective in strengthening supplier capabilities across India and Southeast Asia to meet global standards of quality and reliability?
Yeah, I think I kind of briefly touched on this before.
Yes.
I think it's the involvement of our teams with the supplier. So the supplier development is a key aspect. You have to take it as a task, not as I'm there only to identify the issues at the supplier. One of the messages that I constantly give to our teams is supplier development is our job, everybody in the organization. Purchasing, quality, R&D, and really, if you want a ready-to-eat cake, you should have worked in a bakery, not in automotive. We are here to build the suppliers up. So part of it is, again, our processes and the tools that we bring to the suppliers. With our audits, we identify what are the gaps in their management systems. With our technology experts that we bring in to the suppliers, we then identify, hey, these are the capabilities you're missing, or maybe you don't have that fully developed, you need to work on it. And then we also support them in doing that. And then the most important part is kind of bringing it all together, is having that conversation and constant conversation. One of the things that I see different from working with suppliers globally versus India is that the touch is really important. The constant touch base, hey, what's going on? What's the status? What are you doing right now? It's important, and it's something we have to go into developing suppliers here in India and also in Southeast Asia very actively, because if you don't account for that element, you suddenly realize that, hey, this is a lot of effort. But to gain something good, you have to put effort, and that's the message that's important for our teams that work on these problems.
Thanks. Ponraj, at ZF, initiatives that are taken to strengthen supplier capabilities in India, particularly SMEs, because you develop a lot of partnership with SME supply base. So they can actually contribute effectively to ZF's global supply chain resilience.
Building supplier-partner relationship is one of the key differentiation which we feel which will create a supplier development and collaboration. We have a structured process, sourcing process for that. We conduct VDA 6.3 process system audit, and we conduct GMMOG audit at suppliers to assess the capability, and we create a capability roadmap for the SME suppliers. And Added to that, we take the focused development projects with the strategic sourcing suppliers, and we run those projects along with our corporate supplier management. That create a confidence on the capable suppliers of SMEs. And added to that, we are using optimal usage of the capacities what we have at suppliers, and we take export initiatives which will create a success factor for them to perform in the global platforms. And we are also having a best practice sharings across all JETF entities, which will create a platform for them to understand the new technologies and have a lot of trainings, and we have a constant communications, and we insist them on the JETF requirements. Currently, we are around 600 crores of 6,000 crores of export. We have planning for expanding it to 25,000 crores by 2030. So the constant information sharing and training, so that will make a lot of differences. We bring the suppliers, handhold them along with our supply development team, and bring it to the next level.
Thanks. Shyam, I'll come to the question on the, again, with, not, the question is on the collaboration with automakers, the OEM customers that you have. Again, partnerships becomes really important. Partnership between logistic providers and automakers are becoming more important than ever to ensure seamless global integration, because you are a multinational company, you work with multiple automotive companies around the world. What kind of collaborations or innovations do you see CMA CGM pursuing with automotive manufacturers in India to build a very strong, more resilient supply chain? How often do you have these conversations, like Sahil said, with the supplier group? He needs to have that touch, you need to have that constant conversation. How often do you have conversation with your automotive customers?
Yeah. To be very frank, I don't know about Knorr, but we work with ZF, we work with Volvo globally, as well as through some local contacts. We carry the majority of the cargo, so it's quite important for to have a partnership with the logistics as well as the automakers. This is basically to achieve a seamless, resilient, and integrated supply chain solutions. In India, CMA CGM is collaborating with the automakers through comprehensive tailor-made solutions, and that is like your contract logistics, customs brokerage, and also a multimodal solution in the form of sea, air, as well as land. The innovation is a key focus in the sustainable logistics solutions. So we offer customers a product called Act Plus, which is a product where you will be getting a benefit on the emissions of carbon. So there is a which will give an environmental impact of the products, whatever you supply to your to the various countries or to the even to your domestic customers. And on top of it, we have digital tools which will give them a much better visibility of the tracking of the goods, the booking visibility. We go through an API EDA integration for that, and also on top of it, we have product, as I said in the beginning, we have an air product as well in case they need urgent shipments to be done. That can be done through our logistics. We have a logistics arm like Siva Logistics, who does mainly the air transport as well as the intermodal part of it, as well as they do a little bit of contract logistics for the OEMs. So through these collaborations, CMA CGM support Indian automotive to build a smarter, resilient, and efficient, environmental responsible supply chain solutions.
Yeah, actually, if you notice, also that this actually indicates the importance of India as a market. The kind of acquisition that CMA CGM has done in India, Stellar Value Chain, Volvo Logistics, there's a Turkish-based company still to be ratified by the regulators. Jeffco is specific to automotive. So we do see indications, enough number of indication as to where the demand is and where the growth potential for automotive industry. I have like 3 more set of questions. We are running against a deadline, but we'll try and take as many questions as possible. And if there is any question from the audience, I'll spend some time towards the end. So if you have any specific question, please have it ready. Now the question is on resilience against disruptions, resilience and cost efficiency, resilience and risk management. The topic, the question is to all of you. Girish, in the wake of recent global disruptions, pandemics, geopolitical tensions, shipping bottlenecks, and there is like, if you start counting, there are far too many. It is, you can spend the whole day to discuss about the disruption. And I think we are getting used to that disruptions on a daily basis. What lessons has Volvo learned about building resilience into its truck supply chains? Must be a very tough job for you.
Yeah, so I said purchasing is a powerhouse. I think we have realized that even more during these tougher times, because at some part of these last few years' time, we had a lot of orders. We had customers waiting for our products. We didn't have enough parts to make those products and deliver, right? So then our turnover is defined by how effectively we source. And that's also one of the reasons I said we have a larger responsibility to become a powerhouse on the transformation. But specifically on the, I would say learnings for us, for everyone in the industry, is really to make sure that we don't depend on single geographies, okay? At the product level, as a Volvo Trucks, our production is very, very centered in Europe right now. So that we are going to change. I think we have also mentioned it that India will become the 4th industrial hub where we produce exactly same specification products in India, which will be delivered to domestic markets, but also some other markets from here. So this is something which we can also extend this towards suppliers' manufacturing footprint. From a single manufacturing unit to multi-manufacturing unit, that's the direction we go. We have also, changed the way we look at risk forecasting and mitigation. We started to really go into tier N level. We don't stop at tier 1, go even down, because I can name this semiconductor crisis. We were one of the OEs who have been successfully able to manage the semiconductor crisis well because of the data we had with us. We exactly knew what part and which semiconductor, which manufacturer, whether it is in China, Taiwan, wherever, okay? So then we could able to reach to the manufacturer as quickly as possible. This is something which we continue to do. Then, of course, there are quite a lot of things when it comes to, let's say, preparing ourselves to handle these shocks, more from reactive risk mitigation to more of a proactive risk mitigation. Look at how things could impact us, predict those risks which may come in the future, and better prepare ourselves. For instance, many of the Indian manufacturers delivering back to our European and US systems carry some level of safety stocks. And that was one of the reasons why I'm very happy to say that none of the Indian supplier has stopped our manufacturing either in Europe or in US during this pandemic, logistics issue, whatever issues we had. So I think there are few of them which we have really learned the art of doing it better going forward.
Sahil, art of doing it better, how do you do that in Knorr in terms of resilience, cost efficiency, risk management? What strategies help balance cost optimization with resilience, especially when global disruption challenge traditional sourcing models?
Yeah, I think Girish, you hit on a lot of the points as well. So I think the main, if I kind of rank them, right, the most important part is understanding your supply chain, your partners, but also down to the end level. And then within that, understanding where the risks can come from. Being proactive and be prepared is important. The other aspect that we saw is having the right tools to monitor. So if there's an earthquake in Japan tomorrow, we immediately know who are our suppliers, who might be their sub-suppliers, who might be affected. So having that information and knowledge is power in this time, so you can react faster. And then at the end of the day, it's again going back to that communication with your partners is absolutely critical. If you're not talking to them, if you're relying just on the knowledge that you have on your sheets and knowledge that the tools are providing, that's not enough. You really need to be having that communication back and forth with partners. This builds up a lot of protection, a lot of risk mitigation.
Knowledge is power. Data is the new oil. So we'll touch upon the next topic of the discussion. Ponraj, risk management and resilience, global disruptions, political tensions, raw material shortages, and logistic bottlenecks. How do you address them at ZF, and what kind of strategies do you have?
Yeah, one thing is certain, uncertainty will disturb the supply chain going forward or ever.
And we have to live with that.
We have to live with that. There is no other choice for us. Okay. The thing key here is how we are building the resilience in our processes, in our entire supply chain. So that is the key. So we have to design the supplier networks in such a way to ensure that we have a right prediction and right approach to reach them and address it. And also we have to look at on our manufacturing footprint, and we have to define our sourcing strategy. These are all the three key pillars which can help us in terms of those kind of supply chain disturbances. And as Sahil rightly pointed out, have a constant connect with customers and your suppliers, and have a look for alternates, design for alternate as a substitutions wherever it is possible, so that when you are getting into crisis, you can readily available. Substitution can be used to deliver. And moreover to that, we have to build geopolitical tensions. It will continue to happen. And inflation, interest rate, which will create always economic volatility. Be prepared for that. So as in ZF, we have a lot of proactive approaches towards our suppliers in terms of sustainability, CBAM and all. We are also proactively doing it to have a clear future trade measures and have a clear way out for that.
Shyam, at CMA CGM, how you strengthen the resilience of automotive logistics in and out of India? How do you deal with the disruptions, and how do you build the resilience in your network?
As I said the previously also, the tensions, the geopolitical issues are there, and we are finding an alternative routings, especially to maintain the continuity of the service. And apart from that, we have been investing additional assets in the form of more on the greener fuel, as well as to avoid the environmental impact, because CMA CGM is driving towards a zero carbon for all its operations, and the chairman's vision is to have a zero carbon emissions by 2050. So, as I said, we are only the different routes, as well as the intermodal, as well as with the digital tools, where we also provide a good visibility to the customers. And also we have some data wherein we can try and see whether there is a weather risk, whether there is a terminal issues, or whether there is a port congestions, and try to avoid as much as possible to ease out and be a better resilient company and supply to the OEMs as well as to the customers.
I think what Ponraj said is important. I think we got to live with the disruptions. sometime back, I think a few years back, one of the leading logistic companies had a very severe cyber attack, and at the end of the financial year, they had to literally write off about $400 million. So the question is not about how do you protect any cyber attacks to happen in the way it will happen. Now what is more important is that how do you make sure that your systems are back in place as quickly as possible. Cyber attacks will happen. The crisis that Indigo faces will probably happen again. What is more important is that how robust is your system to wake up and then get back to normalcy. That's more important. Two more important topics to discuss: technology and digitalization. We are living in a highly technology-driven. Artificial intelligence is a kind of more than a buzzword. Everyone uses that. Girish, how is Volvo leveraging digital tools such as predictive analytics, blockchain, or AI to improve transparency and responsiveness across its supply chain in India and globally? As Sahil said, information is power. You need to have data, and it is not just raw data. Data is cold oil, but that's crude oil. You need a refinement. How do you look at technology and digitalization in Volvo?
Absolutely. So digitalization is, let's say, central to our, let's say, supply chain transformation, right? So we use predictive analytics primarily on determining supply chain risks. The risk can be financial risk. Risk can be capacity risks, because we know the pattern of suppliers' delivery, the delivery connected to the requirement of Volvo Group. Everything is mapped, and then we have tools which can send alerts to the buyers, the supplier quality engineers, the capacity developers on, hey, look at this supplier for this particular component where you could face an issue. Things like that. But it is also to really look at geopolitical or some of the natural disasters what we had in the past. How can we better prepared? So we have started to use predictive analytics for that. Blockchain, not many use cases on blockchain. That's one area where
that's a trend that has not really picked up.
Yeah, we talked about blockchain, I think, a decade back.
Yeah.
But still, we still are in the nascent stages. But when it comes to AI, one of the early challenges has been how safe is it? How can we rely on our own confidential data going public if there is a risk? So here, we have started with a Volvo GPT, which is a secured system, which can use, let's say, a broader market intelligence, but with safer Volvo, our own data. So here, so this uses, let's say, latest version of ChatGPT 5.1, for example, very quick. We have limited, number of employees who have started to use this. But when it comes to purchasing AI, we started to implement that in finding out risks when it is on supplier contracts, for example. We engage with contracts with multiple suppliers, then they go on multiple iterations. But now we have a tool which can give feedback saying, okay, this is high risk, this is medium risk, this is low risk, you can go ahead even if there is a modification, things like that. So we have also used AI as a knowledge base. Because Volvo Group is a vast organization, we have resources everywhere, but we seldom had a central knowledge base. So now AI is really bridging that gap to give information about processes, tools, systems, whatever, very, very quick to our own employees. We will also have something called as supply chain builder using AI, which can give us if we have a tier 1 supplier, complete mapping of this supply base going all the way to mines, for example. So yeah, I think AI is really supporting us to take right decisions quicker. And we definitely believe that as we go forward, working with AI will become a standard competency, because not long ago you would see on a resume that people used to write, okay, MS 365 is a competence, Excel, PowerPoint is a competence. But I think in few years' time, we will also see AI, working with AI as a standard competence capability from people.
Yeah, I think if you look at the pace of adoption of AI tools versus the blockchain, as he said, we have been talking about, I think, I've been like doing these conferences for the last 12 years, and we've been talking about blockchain in logistics and supply chain, and that's perhaps one trend that is kind of always spoken too much, but there's nothing really happening on ground. Sahil, technology, digitalization, digital twin. Perhaps everyone in this room has a digital twin. There is a twin existing on the virtual space. You do everything, your banking or your social media networks. You have your identity on the virtual space. How do you integrate digitalization technology solutions into your supply chain management?
So I think the most important aspect is everybody is expecting something revolutionary always, right? And yes, for sure there are some instances where that happens. But I think really the power of AI is in the day-to-day data analysis and the process analysis that it can do, that it would take somebody maybe months and weeks to do that. This is where we are really utilizing it. We're utilizing AI to even simple things like pay term data versus our, what is within the POs versus what is in contracts. So even simple things like this, we are utilizing AI to bring out the data for us, and drives obviously from a profitability and cash flow perspective. Similarly with compliance tools, I think making sure that, if there is a purchase order somewhere going, there's some level of compliance within it, doing that check, building that resilience within our system. So that's really important, and what we're utilizing. And at the end of the day, I think kind of overlap with what you said, the AI tools that bring in a lot of insights on the financial risk is important for us, and also supply chain. And we are even extending it to even evaluate cyber warfare capability of our suppliers.
Yep.
Do they have the right cybersecurity setups or not? So that's what really AI is doing. It's building that resilience and giving us that knowledge and the power to execute on it.
Ponraj?
Yeah, we do have the digitalization in terms of market intelligence, to have the customer demand forecasting and how we have to deal with our suppliers in terms of forecasting, and how we can prepare ourselves to deliver to customers. So on those front, we are also started to use it. And moreover to that, one unique advantage is you can compare where is the best cost available in the overall across globe, so we can source it from there, like that kind of inputs also we are getting it from there. And we have a common board like Supplier portals, and where we use all the contractual suppliers, audit results, everything has been kept. So that give you a right indications for the decision makers to take a right input and decide on that.
Shyam, technology digitalization, do you have a digital twin at CMA CGM monitoring all movement of your vessels,
Yes.
your assets and your ports infrastructure?
Absolutely. This is recently we have come up with an R&D along with collaboration with Capgemini, so wherein the data are quite huge, humongous, but how far the data is correct is the most important. And we are into this, and slowly and maybe in the coming years we'll have much more better visibility of with the AI information or the AI as such. As of now, yes, the fleets are monitored and they are put into the efficient routes so that it gives a better efficient both for the company as well as for the trade. And definitely by the coming years it will happen. So I don't have much information on this, but AI is much talked about, and a lot of investment is being done by CMA CGM at the headquarters level. And as I said, the R&D with the Capgemini will definitely give us much more better results in the coming years.
Yeah, I think talking to different people in the transport and logistic industries, perhaps like everyone uses some kind of an AI tool. Large language models are very common. Perhaps a lot of the low-hanging fruits. Right now, we are addressing that. Probably some of the mundane stuff that we do. These are some of the things that can be done. Maybe when it comes to automotive manufacturing, pharmaceutical discovery, I think it cannot be a large language models. You need quantitative language models. You need high-end computing power, and that exactly is happening. We have seen it in the time of during COVID, how vaccines came into the market much faster than in the previous decades. Otherwise, a vaccine would take, medicine discovery would take about 10 years and several billions of dollars. Today, you are able to bring it probably using artificial intelligence tools. So this could come into the manufacturing sector as well. I'm going to turn to the audience for if there is any question. I'll take one or two questions if there are, and then I'll ask the final questions to the panel members. I take the liberty, but the time is up, I take the liberty of taking 5 more minutes because we started early, and this conversation is supposed to end only at 11 o'clock. Are there any questions in the audience? Okay, there is a question. Can we have a mic round? First table in the center. Please identify yourself, make your question very precise.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lalitesh Kumar from TN Auto Skills. This is not a question, this is an invitation. We are in an age of collaboration. So you will need manpower and skilled manpower, whatever you have suggested, capability, that can be built by us. We are already working with ZF for the Singapore unit. We are open to help all the OEMs and the logistics. So we'll connect after the meeting. Here, we are a part of the Government of Tamil Nadu initiative. Everybody here to support you in manpower and technology. Already working with VinFast. VinFast has a corporate we are upgrading the ITIs and engineering colleges, where we can support all the manpower requirements and whatever you need. So it's an invitation, not a question.
Okay, that's a pitch for his company. We will charge you as organizers. Okay, kidding apart. Any other specific questions? Okay, the next, you can pass the mic to the right.
Good morning, everyone. This is Sendil from Ford. I have a question on, first of all, great discussion, right? And it's a very relevant topic to what we face in the auto industry. There's a topic about regionalization versus localization, right? So we have seen Tesla doing vertical integration. So for OEMs, how does vertical integration actually help, right? It's a huge capital investment, that's for sure. But Tesla has proved completely all of us wrong. They have been very successful in manufacturing, and now they are also looking into manufacturing semiconductors. So from your perspective, how do you see vertical integration happening in other OEMs? Will it really be considered in the future or no?
Anybody?
I can give probably a very quick answer to that one. Vertical integration, see, as I said earlier, we are going more from a core holding everything by yourself to a partnership with a lot of different companies. Because it is very clear in the industry, especially on an automotive commercial vehicle sector, the transformation is phenomenal, which we have probably not seen for over 70, 80 years' time, right? So at this juncture, we have to partner with people who are the experts to get the best out of everything to the end customers. Having said that, there will be some areas where, as a company, we feel it's a core to us, and we would like to retain with us. That would still continue. And what can make that very interesting is the market and the volume. You have right volumes to make those investments of your core technology to do in-house. Anything?
I think mirroring what you just said, right? It's about, as an organization, you have to really decide what is your core competency and what is not, right? So we all have constrained resources, both from a financial standpoint as well as a people standpoint. So it's important to define that. And on the Knorr-Bremse side, we have done that. We've looked at certain things and said, hey, you know what? This is with our supplier partners, but it's too important for us. So we need to bring it back. And we've done the other way around.
Okay, I think the final question, is there any more question? Then, okay, there are no questions. The final question is on sustainability, green shipping, green manufacturing, future readiness. It's an important topic. Your comments from all of you on sustainability and the future readiness in your sector, in the industry.
Yeah, Reji. So this topic is very, very close to my heart to begin with, because this is what will make us support not just our companies, our business, but the entire world and society at large, right? So at Volvo Group, we take a lot of actions to make our products 100% fossil-free, 100% more productive, and 100% safe. How we do that? Of course, our net GHG neutrality is 2040, and we are very clear about it. And we cannot achieve this without all our supply partners achieving net neutrality by 2040, right? And I personally truly believe that all companies who really invest in bringing out sustainable products, sustainable solutions, care for the environment, take care of human rights, take care of the people and teams, those companies will be among the winners of tomorrow, right? Otherwise, you will not. So now, coming specifically to what we do in the Volvo Group, of course, we have CSR initiatives, audits, where we evaluate suppliers based on 3 parameters: people, resources, and climate. Only those who comply to this will be taken into the business. Otherwise, no, we let the suppliers improve and then come back. GHG emissions, not just long-term net neutrality, but also here and now, what we do, how suppliers will support our GHG reduction. So this is the second one. Circularity initiatives is also continuing to be the key. But to sum it up, I can tell you, gone are the days when the purchasing decisions, sourcing decisions were taken merely due to cost, quality, and delivery. These are going to be basic expectations of any manufacturer. What do you bring above these cost, quality, and delivery is going to define how you will grow in the market. And for me, sustainability is going to be really the key. And these are already embedded in our sourcing decisions.
Sahil?
Yeah, kind of mirroring what you said again. It's building that into our DNA of our sourcing process. So it's within there. So it's not an afterthought. It's not a forethought. It's part of the process. So when we're talking to suppliers, that is part of the conversation. If I go to a new supplier and they're doing their presentation and they're not talking about it, that's a big X against them. And at the end of the day, the most important aspect is we are talking, but we are also implementing. So when we make those sourcing decisions where we say, you know what, good on cost, good on quality, good on capability, you know what, they're not focused on something that we all want to. That really puts your money away.
Ponraj?
Yeah. In JEDF, you have a structured approach for driving the climate neutrality by 2040 net zero. And by 2030, we should be on scope 1 and 2, 80% down. And then for scope 3 upstream, 40% down. That is the target for 2030. To support that, we are doing 3 key elements. One is we have a supply training through the sustainability training academy we have. So suppliers, all our suppliers can get into it and they can understand how they are going to do it. And for the new project sourcings, supplier bid condition itself, we started to include the sustainability requirements, how much secondary material they are using, and how much it is reduce and reuse principles they are using it, and what is the green energy, is the 100% green energy. These are all the mandate which we are taking it as a business awards for decision making. And added to that, we are also having a clear supplier coaching programs as well at the suppliers, and doing the supplier guidance, and wherever the opportunity for them, we are also guiding them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CMA CGM, as I said, is committed for a net zero carbon by the year 2050. And also we have some phases in between in 2030 and 2040 also. So CMA CGM India, especially, we provide a greener as well as more sustainable supply chain solutions to our customers. See, in the form of, one is that the recent investments of CMA CGM is only on the LNG-driven fuel vessels, as well as with more cleaner fuel vessels. And also, this will anyway give a good impact on the carbon emission. On top of it, for the customers, we have a product called Act Plus as well as carbon offset, wherein the customer can take the option from us. It's a program. They can leverage this program by buying this, so that there is a certificate being issued to the user, so that they can, as a CSR, they can even get the benefit on the carbon footprint for their products what they export domestically as well as internationally. The third is on the intermodal aspects. We try to convert as much as possible of the to avoid the road movement and make it as a greener through rail. To be very frank, we just did a trial run for one of the customers by doing a road from here of their cargo from here to Bangalore by rail. Though the clearance is going to happen in Chennai, but the cargo will be delivered by rail at the Bangalore facility. The last mile anyway, we'll be trying to do with a LNG truck. This is what we have done, and hopefully many more customers will try to adopt this and make a environmental friendly. On top of it, we also have a API EDA integration, which also provides the customer a tracking facility, a much more visibility of what exactly where the containers are getting idle. So all this put together, I think we will definitely give a much better, resilient and efficient solutions to the automotive as well as to the customers.
Yeah, please stay back till the end of the day, because there is a separate session on this particular topic. So there will be a lot more of insights coming from that session. I think CMA CGM also has the new A350 freighters coming in, much more fuel efficient, lighter in weight, giving you a capacity of 100 plus ton to be lifted.
Sorry to interrupt as well. Also to make one more thing, what CMA has done in Vietnam is that we have done an electric barge for moving cargo from one port to another, which is currently many of them are operating with the diesel fuel. So we have tied up with Nike on that, and we are doing an electric barge. So such initiatives keep happening in CMA CGM.
Yeah, I think we all of us need to be also mindful about the political rhetoric, the saying that drill baby drill. So we are back to maybe probably fossil fuels. Things will change. Probably some of you must be following what happened at the COP conference on climate. But essentially, there is a desire to be sustainable. I think that it has to start at an individual level. Do you go out for shopping with a plastic or without a shopping bag and then take plastic bags? I think at an individual level, I think there needs to be a desire to be sustainable, and then I think that will go into the organization that we work for. People who are at the leadership level will drive that message down the line, and slowly there is a change. These things will not happen overnight. A lot of time I ask some of the people who own electric vehicle. Now, if you own an electric vehicle, and if it is powered by electricity produced by coal, then it is not really sustainable. So I think we need sometimes to really question our status quo on certain things, and it's only by doing that we will make some change. Probably in our lifetime we may not see it, but I think it is responsibility of us to make sure that the next generation has a better world to live in. With that note, I like to end kind of short by another 5 minutes. A fascinating discussion. Really like to thank all my speakers for sharing their insights, and wonderful audience. Put your hands together for Shyam, Ponraj, Sahil, and Girish. And thank you so much.